Welcome to the National Association of Activity Professionals PowerPoint. This PowerPoint will give you an introduction to the activity profession as well as explain the benefits of the National Association of Activity Professionals. It is suggested that you refer to the pages 16 through 18 in your textbook, Activities Keep Me Going and Going, as this section of your book talks about some of the historical events that are going to be described now. As far back as the early writings of ancient Egypt, we can trace the history of the treatment of the ill. It began with the idea that one human being could eliminate the suffering of another through the use of supernatural powers to ward off evil. Many of these cures were centered on music and dance. This may very well be the beginning of activity professionals as we know them today. Some evidence of elementary hospital care has been attributed to early Greek and Roman civilizations. It was during this period that the use of music and recreation was used by Soranus and Galen to relieve pain and relax the body. A community hospital built by Justinian at Caesars in the year 1369 was an institution for the sick, orphans, and aged. This may be thought of as a precursor of long-term care. Up through the Middle Ages, religion was the dominant influence for the establishment of healthcare institutions. As a result of pressures from advocates of the Reformation, a royal decree in England ordered hospitals be destroyed or turned over for public use. During this time, interest increased around the establishment of public facilities to alleviate the hardship and suffering of the aged poor. In the year 1368, the earliest example of such an establishment became known as an almshouse. Ambroise Pare's use of music and games to relieve the suffering of the ill may have become an influencing factor of the need for services other than medical treatment. With the establishment of almshouses, it became evident that the care of the sick and aged provided by the church would slowly become the public's responsibility. The first English settlers in America brought with them the indigent and the aged. This was a result of the English Poor Law of the year 1601, based on the principles of public responsibility for the sick, poor, and the aged. In 1662, the Act of Settlement was approved by Parliament, permitting the authorities to remove non-resident paupers of the parish to the last legal settlement. Together with the Poor Law of 1601, the responsibility for the indigent and the elderly was shifted to the community and family. During the latter half of the 18th century, many of the newly constructed hospitals evolved from a common ancestor, the almshouse. In spite of its contributions to later health care, the almshouse was primarily regarded as a home for the indigent aged, where medical care consisted of a type of infirmary care. Studies and records related to the historical ancestors of long-term care institutions are largely non-existent. The almshouses, the hospitals, and the asylums were facilities that by today's definition were something between a hospital and a home. In the mid-1800s, Florence Nightingale was pushing for changes to the nursing profession in Great Britain. Nightingale published Notes on Nursing, a book where she makes numerous comments on simple ideas that still have current application to delivery of activity services today. Some of her advice to nurses include a variety of form and brilliancy of color in objects presented to patients. Volumes are now written and spoken upon the effect of the mind upon the body. Much of it is true. A little needlework, a little writing, a little cleaning would be the greatest relief the sick could have. We must admit that light has quite as real and tangible effect upon the human body. And finally, always sit down when a sick person is talking business to you. Show no signs of hurry, giving complete attention and full consideration. Nightingale also mentioned the importance of using soft musical instruments and even small animals for comfort at times. The nursing home industry became established around 1935 with the passage of the Social Security Act. This act provided a system of social insurance for the aged and also set a public assistance system in which the federal government shared the cost with the states. The Social Security Act helped the states provide maintenance for the needy, aged, blind, families with dependent children, and ultimately the permanently totally disabled. In 1939, 1946, and 1948, legislative amendments increased federal cost sharing. In 1950, with further amendments to the Social Security Act, Congress broadened the definition of assistance to include vendor payments and direct payments by the state to doctors, nurses, and healthcare institutions, rather than to the welfare recipient. The next congressional action culminated in the enactment of Medicare and Medicaid in 1965. President Johnson declared in his State of the Union message that assistance for the elderly was a priority item in his legislative program. A new bill was introduced in the House on March 24, 1965, which established an insurance program for persons 65 and older. Title 18, Medicare. In the 1960s, it became apparent that a staff person was needed to provide meaningful activities to fill the residents' days. Since the federal government and regulations did not specify the educational requirements, some facilities employed nurses' aides, housekeepers, or persons from the community who demonstrate leadership abilities through scouting, a parent-teacher association, and/or church work. It was during these early days and early years that the activity professional became known as the bingo, Bible study, and birthday ladies. As the profession grew, so did the realization regarding the need for continuing education programs, conferences, workshops, and seminars. The activity professional discovered quickly that there was more to activities than the 3 B's. In the early years of growth, the healthcare industry was supported and included activity coordinators in annual conventions, seminars, and educational sessions. It was during these conventions and educational sessions that activity programs began to emerge as a meaningful part of residents' lives. Activities became one of the disciplines in the facility. In 1981, local and state associations sent representatives to Chicago to explore the possibility of forming an association to represent the needs of all activity professionals employed in the delivery of activity services in long-term care institutions. The National Association of Activity Professionals, NAAP, was formed. In 1982, NAAP began its first political action campaign against threatened federal deregulation of activities in long-term care. That same month, the national membership was established and the first Board of Trustees officially began their duties. The Board of Trustees held its first meeting on July 9, 1982, in Des Plaines, Illinois. The first annual convention was held April 29th and 30th, 1983, in Cincinnati, Ohio. In March, bylaws and policies and procedures were ratified by a charter membership of 254 individuals. The first meeting of the NAAP Board of Trustees was held July 1982. After that first convention in 1983, the activity profession was off and running. NAAP began to grow and develop relationships with other organizations. The state contact program began, and in September 1983, the first professional association, NAAP, was chartered as a nonprofit corporation in Illinois. To honor activity professionals across the country, the first National Activity Professionals Day was celebrated on January 27, 1984. Each year, the fourth Friday in January was designated as a day to celebrate and recognize activity professionals. Now it is celebrated for an entire week. In October 1986, the NAAP Board of Trustees held its first mid-year board meeting. At this meeting, seeing the need for a certifying body, the National Certification Council for Activity Professionals, NCAP, was incorporated with 3 levels of certification: Activity Assistant Certified, AAC, Activity Director Certified, ADC, and Activity Consultant Certified, ACC. A criterion for certification was outlined to include academic education, activity experience, and continuing education. Since 1991, some education has been required for all levels and track of certifications. In 1988, thanks in part to the legislative effort of NAAP, Congress passed legislation requiring all nursing homes that receive federal funds to have an ongoing activity program directed by a qualified professional. Included in its Code of Ethics for members, the NAAP lists the following expected standards of practice. The activity professional shall demonstrate professionalism by its programs they design or the services they offer. Ensure that credit is given to others for the use of their ideas, materials, and programs. Participate in continuing education opportunities to strive for professional competence. In February 1989, the Healthcare Financing Administration, HCFA, now known as the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, issued new federal regulations for long-term care facilities. NAAP began lobbying to improve the regulations and the interpretive guidelines for implementing them. As a result, NAAP was acknowledged by CMS as a recognized professional body for activity professionals. NAAP continues to play an important role in regulations affecting activity professionals. The mission of NAAP is NAAP provides support to activity professionals through education, advocacy, technical assistance, promoting of standards, fostering research, and peer and industry relations. NAAP is the only organization that exclusively represents activity professionals working in primarily geriatric settings. NAAP provides opportunities for professional development and personal growth. Some of the benefits of NAAP include the following. Free live online education twice a month, all NCAP pre-approved. Unlimited access to NAAP's e-learning library, which is a library of all the previous educational programs that are offered monthly. Discounts to NAAP conferences, which are held yearly in various parts of the United States. The weekly e-blasts are emailed weekly on Mondays at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. These emails are filled with information about current trends, regulation updates, partnership information, and more. You can sign up to receive these emails on the NAAP website at www.naap.info. The NAAP Activity Toolbox is filled with printable in-services that you can use with your staff and colleagues, resource articles, programming ideas, and activity forms that can be used. The NAAP Helpline is the quickest way to submit a question or concern to the NAAP board and receive a response within 24 hours. The NAAP Job Board is available on the website where you can post any job openings nationwide for 30 days. Members have access to review any current openings. The books available for purchase include the NAAP Exam Prep Book. This book includes over 500 questions that assist one in preparing for any national exam, including the NCAP exam. The NAAP Activity Resource Book includes research, training, experiences, and personal growth for an activity professional to gain knowledge about the profession. It includes the history of the activity profession, fundamental skills for the activity professional, theories associated with aging, processes of aging, regulatory process, program planning and development, documentation guidelines, the activity professional manager, community relations, and practical application. The NAAP Policy and Procedure Manual includes multiple policies and guidelines for the activity professional should know. Other benefits include regular communication from the NAAP's Regulations Committee about current regulatory standards and changes, and you receive the most current information regarding regulation changes and governmental issues, being a member of NAAP. You also have the opportunity to serve on national committees, and you also receive the benefits from affiliates that are partnered with NAAP, and you can find those affiliates listed on the NAAP website. The National Association of Activity Professionals recognizes the following values. The quality of the client, resident, participant, patient served is the primary reason for our services. The strengths of NAAP lie in the diversity of its members. NAAP recognizes the rich cultural and educational backgrounds of its members and values the variety of resources presented. The strength of NAAP also lies in the support of research, which will further define and support the activity profession. NAAP values the development and maintenance of coalitions with organizations whose mission is similar to that of NAAP's for the purpose of advocacy, research, education, and promotion of activity services and activity professionals. NAAP values members who become involved at the state and international level to promote professional standards, as well as encourage others to recognize them as professionals. At this point, you might like to refer to page 54 of your textbook, as that explains when outlines the NAAP Code of Ethics. Conduct. The activity professional shall maintain high standards of personal conduct and professional integrity at all times. The activity professional shall treat colleagues with professional courtesy. The activity professional shall obey the bylaws and code of ethics governing all professional associations to which he or she belongs. Dignity and rights. The activity professional shall treat the clients and residents, members of the interdisciplinary team, and professional peers with regard towards personal dignity at all times. The activity professional shall respect and protect the rights, civil, legal, and human, of the clients and residents, members of the interdisciplinary team, and professional peers at all times. The activity professional shall work through appropriate channels to protect the rights of clients and residents and report abuse and exploitation to his or her supervisor immediately. Confidentiality. The activity professional shall treat any information about clients and residents, members of the interdisciplinary team, and professional peers as confidential. Information about the clients and residents that must be shared with members of the interdisciplinary team and volunteers in the course of care shall be exchanged in a professional manner. The activity professional shall not discuss clients or residents and/or their families when out in public and will abide by HIPAA regulations. Empowerment. The activity professional shall enable clients and residents to participate in the planning and implementation of their care, as well as making independent medical, legal, and financial decisions. The activity professional shall mentor professional peers and promote each colleague's leadership role. Participation. The activity professional shall enable clients and residents to maximize their potential in activity participation through adaptation, cues and prompts, protection from undue interruption, and assistance in rescheduling of other events that may interfere with the client and resident's ability to participate in activities of their choice. Record keeping. The activity professional shall maintain client-resident records in an accurate, confidential, and timely manner. The activity professional shall follow facility policies and procedures in the formatting of such records. In the absence of activity policy, the appropriate state and/or federal guidelines shall be followed. The activity professional shall not falsify any documents pertaining to official clinical records of client and residents and his or her professional associations. Professional. The activity professional shall participate in continuing education opportunities, strive for professional competence and excellence in all matters, ensure accurate resumes, and differentiate between personal comments and actions, official NAAP positions, and/or official positions of other associations to which he or she belongs. The activity professional shall encourage professional peers and colleagues to participate in professional associations and accept leadership roles. Supervisory. The activity professional shall treat persons he or she may supervise with dignity and respect, protect their rights, and provide accurate and fair evaluations. Communication. The activity professional shall strive to maintain open channels of communication with administration, other departments, families, clients and residents, and professional peers. The activity professional shall strive for accurate and truthful communication in all interactions. Provision of services. The activity professional shall provide programs regardless of race, religion, or absence thereof, ethnic origin, social or marital status, sex or sexual orientation, age, health status, or payment source, which assists the client and resident in achieving and maintaining the highest practicable level of physical, intellectual, psychosocial, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Legal. The activity professional shall comply with all applicable federal, state, and local laws regarding the provision of services to clients and residents, professional peers, and colleagues. Professional associations. The activity professional shall comply with the bylaws, policies and procedures, standards, and code of ethics of the professional associations to which he or she belongs. The activity professional shall provide leadership and/or services to the association to which he or she belongs without expectation of financial gain. I hope this PowerPoint has explained a little bit about the history of activities and where we've come from, as well as the benefits that you would receive from joining NAAP. For more information on NAAP, please visit their website at www.naap.info.